Hello everyone, this is Michael ASMR, and I'm going to be giving another 25 facts from the fact site, so you know they are correct. We all like some facts, and why not give them in a somewhat of an ASMR style? No, I'm not going to be reikieing and mouth sounding you to death today, or punching you, or any other strange ASMR things. Just the sound of my lovely voice is going to accompany these facts. I just like some facts, don't you? Every now and then. Just pull a fact, have your backside, give it to some unwilling participant in your strange fact life. Anyway, a minute long introduction, far too long for me. A lion's roar can be heard from 5 miles away. Man, that is a long way, isn't it, you think? If you tried to shout loud enough to be heard from 5 miles away, we wouldn't really need phones too much, would we? If we could just be at a roaring level and be heard that far away. Well done, lions. A toaster uses almost half as much energy as a full-sized oven. Okay. I'm not as impressed as with the lion, I'm going to be honest. A baby spider is called a spiderling. Figures. You cannot snore and dream at the same time. That's a weird one, isn't it? You can't dream and snore at the same time. Why would that be? Is that true? Maybe does your brain have to concentrate on one activity and it can't quite concentrate on another activity? Is that what it is? I mean, people who really snore excessively, you know, maybe their windpipe's blocked somewhat. Maybe they're struggling health-wise somewhat, and so maybe the brain has to concentrate on the act of snoring to breathe, to try to breathe properly, instead of concentrating on dreaming. Maybe it's something along those lines. I don't fucking know. I'm speculating at this point. Maybe it's not even a fact. I mean, of course it's a fact. It's the fact site. The following can be read forward and backwards. Do geese see God? That is a fact. I can confirm. Do geese see God? Yep. Can't disagree there. A baby octopus is about half the size of a flea when it's born. Oh, isn't that cute? What a cute little octopling. Multiple octopus? Octopi. Octo 3.14. A sheep, a duck, and a rooster were the first passengers in a hot air balloon. Well, didn't we send a monkey to space? Fruit flies? We send all kinds of things out there. We'll invent the stuff, and then we will throw you in there, animals. Rather you than us. Which figures really, you know, it might sound a bit harsh, and where possible, it's probably decent if we don't have to do animal testing, but at the same time, would you want to kill a person instead of a sheep, a duck, and a rooster? Did all 3 of them go up at the same time? Were they 3 different hot air balloon flights? Supplementary facts that we just may never know. Hitler's mother considered abortion, but the doctor persuaded her to keep the baby. Maybe he got in a time machine and went back and saved Hitler, because as bad as these people can get in situations and events and all kinds of stuff, we need to learn from events. That was one hell of an event to learn from. 1940s Nazis and World War II. But at the same time, we do learn from these things. So you got to be careful if you want to say you go back in time and kill Hitler or Hitler's mother, or let her have an abortion. because we might never have learned the lessons that we've learned. So it's interesting. Open up a tiny little philosophical, reality-based discussion there. It's what I do, folks. If you want someone who's going to overthink things, or think things to a perfect level, to a perfect extent, I should say, Michael ASMR. Arab women can initiate a divorce if their husbands don't pour coffee for them. Some interesting standards in the world, right? You just say, hey, it's just culture, do what you like. Or you could say, that seems a bit fucking weird, that you could initiate a divorce if they don't pour coffee for them. Is that just Arab women? The men are obliged to pour the coffee, but the wives are not obliged to pour the coffee? This seems sexist, no? And fucking stupid. Recycling one glass jar saves enough energy to watch TV for 3 hours. Well, I watch TV a bit more than that, so... Well, if you count TV as YouTube. So, recycle, kids. That's the message we want to get across. And we're gonna bribe you with TV facts at the same time. Smearing a small amount of dog feces on an insect bite will relieve the itching and swelling. I think I'll have the swelling and the itching. It's good to know, though. Catfish are the only animals that naturally have an odd number of whiskers. Oh, little catfish. Aren't they cute? Little whiskers. Why the hell do fish need whiskers? This is just what I just think. Don't you just think these things? Why do we need a clownfish? We've got Finding Nemo and through it, but really? Why do you need to be orange? Why do you need to have a hammerhead if you're in there? Mutation, Michael, mutation, evolution, mutation, we get mutation, and some animals, they survive when they mutate, and plenty don't survive when they mutate. I get that. It's still quite an extent though, isn't it, that with different types of animals that we get around the world. Especially under the sea. Under the sea and in jungles, where you will find an amazing proliferation of life forms. Catfish, clownfish, though. God is an amusing bugger. An actually odd number of whiskers, though. So cats have an even number of whiskers. See, cats make more sense. They're on land. The whiskers are there. Why are whiskers there? I've never thought why whiskers are there. Why are whiskers there? Do they sense things with them? To look sexually attractive to other animals? Why do you have whiskers? I've never thought this before. Why do you have whiskers? Help with breathing? No. See, sensing air temperature or something? No. Just they get some milk and food in the whiskers. Is it to save the milk for later? Why do you have whiskers? I've never thought this through. Whatever the reason, catfish are the only animals to not have an odd number, which confirms my suspicion that these are very odd animals. Facebook, Skype and Twitter are all banned in China. I knew that one. I knew that social media was banned in China. Banned? Yeah. Well over 1 billion people don't use Twitter or Facebook at all. Get the fuck out of here. Of course they're using it in China. All kinds of things are banned in all kinds of countries. People still use them. But it is not too promising. The whole superpower would ban effectively free expression. That's not great, really, is it? But actually, the more that China gets into the world and capitalism, and as it has been for decades now, the more it can't hold people down, the more that they want to become westernized. All this, oh, China will take over. No, it won't. China's not going to be taken over. It's going to have an increased influence, but ultimately the culture, which is so important as to why America and Britain are the two most significant countries in the world, the culture and the array of culture, which is why they do so much better than likes of, say, very happy nations in Scandinavia, how much their culture affects things. Chinese culture is not going to be adopted in quite the same way. So they can ban and do things like that, but really they're just going to keep opening themselves up to especially Americanized culture, more American culture, and that's going to soften the systems in China. And so eventually, don't be surprised, even in our lifetimes, millennials, if we see a reverse of bans like that as they become more moderate. Even North Korea, maybe not quite in our lifetimes, but it could be, will eventually become more moderate and secularized in those senses. So I think we'll see some archaic bans like those overturned. 95% of people text things that they could never say in person. How do you get 95%? And yeah, we say all kinds of things, and that we don't say in person. That's fair. Where we troll, or maybe we say something that gets interpreted in some ways that would be more easily interpreted, more correctly interpreted, if you could see the person speaking to you and saying the things that they say. So say things that they could never say. In terms of, they might have said something that they would never say in person, yes. To say that they always, it's worded as if they always text things that they could never say in person, I don't think that's right. I think people generally do text or message or tweet things in their own voice. You can generally pick up on a pattern. If you just look at a celebrity or a friend of yours on Twitter, they will have their way of speaking, which means that's their specific way of speaking that you get to understand. And whilst it might seem a little bit different compared to the way they speak in face to face, or the way I'm speaking now, because maybe they prioritize things differently, such as my tweets can be somewhat, or I generally like on Twitter, I'll finish the sentence correctly in a minute, political, or when I do tweet, I try to tweet with some quality. I don't tweet an awful lot, so when I'm tweeting, if it's some famous person, to try to hold them to account, sort of, not to troll, but to hold to account, which I think is important. I try to include some quality with the way I'm saying it, whereas when I'm speaking in everyday life, it's not always amazing quality. I do still generally try to go for quality over quantity, but it depends on mood. Some moods I'm in the mood for speaking more. Other days I really don't want to speak at all. So context with the way that you speak, with the way that you tweet, probably differs more than even the things that you will say. But granted, I agree, sometimes you will message things, especially when you're just putting it out there in a tweet, not to any specific person. You will find yourself saying some things that you probably wouldn't say too much. Equally though, you probably do censor yourself more on social media. In real life, to your friends, to people that you're comfortable with, you say some edgy things, don't you? Let's be honest. The Titanic was the first ship to use the SOS signal. Did not know that. And it used it for good reason. Oh, what a disaster, the Titanic. But again, we had to have it to learn. We learn. And think of the amount of lives that have been saved since then. It's a shame that we have to have these awful tragedies, but history, people want to have interpretations of history. The main thing that I see from history is that we have to go through bad things to learn. And it's a shame. But how do babies and toddlers and children grow? It's through learning, through making mistakes. Even adults learn through making mistakes. It does just seem a shame that we have to have mistakes to the level of the Titanic and the World Wars. But you know, that seems to be the way it goes. In Poole, which is a place in England, I think, Pound World went out of business because of a store across the road called 99p Stores, which was selling the same products but for just 1 pence cheaper. I think I've heard that before. I mean, we have Poundland here, same as Pound World, one called 99p. That's I don't know, I have mixed feelings about that. On the face of it, you think that's funny, that's great. Were they not just producing the greatest troll undercutting, though? If they just opened up a store 99p, I mean, what if someone else just brought one out 98p? Selling everything for 1p. I mean, you can't say that you can't do it. It's the marketplace. It's the free marketplace. It seems a bit mean-spirited. Let's put it that way. It's fucking funny though. Let's face it. About 8,000 Americans are injured by musical instruments each year. I like these ones. They always put Americans. Only Americans. This has only happened to Americans. No accidents ever happen to anybody outside of America. Stupid Americans. No, it's not true. Accidents happen to people in all countries. Some more than different accidents happen in different places more than others, depending on their culture and the resources that they have. Let's just say 8,000 people in a large country are injured by musical instruments. Stupid. Might seem contradictory to what I was saying. It is stupid. And it's not contradictory because the point still stands that people from every nation can be stupid. Not just America. Why are you getting hurt by musical instruments? What are you doing to yourself? If it's dropping a guitar on your foot, I suppose. Apart from that, what are you throwing a drumstick up into your eye? What are you doing with these instruments? These are things that you're supposed to be in control of. What are you doing, people? God's sake, have some self-respect and don't get injured by your musical instrument. But from my previous point, once you've been hurt by your musical instrument, you're probably not going to do that again. The French language has 17 different words for surrender. White flag. Again, I don't know the stats. Do the French really surrender more than others? Maybe so. I did see that the French historically have had the highest success rate in battles, so they can, when they do fight, they're actually very good. There is just the impression that they give up a little bit prematurely, but no, I've no problem with the French. You know, as an Englishman, we're supposed to be against the French, right? I don't really mind the French. I did have a French teacher who I didn't really like, and she didn't really like me. But hey, it's teachers for you. Those who can't teach, unfortunately. Shouldn't be that way, but it is. Anyway, enough of my own issues. Nearly 3% of the ice in Antarctic glaciers is penguin urine. Who's testing that? Who funded that testing, more importantly? They didn't test it, Michael. It's just an approximation, an estimation, I know. But it was a joke. 3%. Oh. Jesus, penguins. Why are they pissing so much? Bob Dylan's real name is Robert Zimmerman. Didn't know that? That's not a bad name, really. Robert Zimmerman. He could still have been a star with that name. We have the composer, Hans Zimmer is his name. I'm not googling it, fuck it, I'm not cheating. A crocodile can't poke its tongue out. Can't it? I didn't know that. Why would it want to? It's not a fucking lizard. It is a big lizard, reptile thingy, but who even thinks of these things? Oh, by the way, this crocodile, it can't poke out its tongue. Yeah, it can't walk on 2 feet either. Or can it? Actually, do you see his 2? Maybe very momentarily. It can't do algebra. There you go, I win. Sea otters hold hands when they sleep so they don't drift away from each other. Aww. Cute little otters. And like, have you seen the otters where they juggle with the pebbles? It's fucking amazing. Fucking little Cirque du Soleil otters. That's brilliant. They hold hands when they sleep. Wouldn't the hands become relaxed? You know, when you're holding something when you sleep, you just becomes relaxed and everything falls out. Their hands just interlock and they hold like that when they're asleep. Clever little things. A small child could swim through the veins of a blue whale. They are big creatures, that is for sure. Don't they have something like a 15 feet long dick or something? You wouldn't really want to be swimming through that. Big ass sperm. Finally, Bin Laden's death was announced on the 1st of May 2011. Hitler's death was announced on the 1st of May 1945. Coincidence? Almost certainly. Thanks for watching, folks. Facts? I like it. I don't know if this is really traditionally ASMR, someone just rambling and saying some facts. But it's what I like to do, and that's what counts. More facts soon. I seem to do them in 25s. That's a good idea. I will do 25 more facts when I next feel like it. Bye for now.